Hello again, basketball gamers, and welcome to episode number 179 of the NLSC podcast. I'm Andrew, with you as always. With me as always is Ben, also known as Arcane.
Hey.
And it's just the two of us this week. Kenny's got a couple of things he needs to attend to before the weekend, so it's a dynamic duo again this week. And we have a few things to talk about, with NBA 2K17 being out a couple of weeks, the NBA season just a couple of weeks away, 2 or 3 weeks away now, Ben, so it's exciting times for us in the basketball gaming community.
Yeah, it's always one of the joyful times when when the game's about to actually officially start, or the season's about to officially start. So, everyone, that sort of new hope of promise for everyone's teams and all that stuff before, reality kicks in for some teams.
Well, that's right. Those first 5 games of the season, when you think, "Oh man, the team's going to be okay this year," and then it's a marathon, not a sprint, and suddenly the 5-0 start becomes a 22-60 finish. Sometimes we've seen that before, but yes, I've been checking out some of the preseason action myself. Caught the Rockets Knicks game the other day. The Rockets won rather handily, and then the Clippers got blasted by the Warriors, which made everyone wonder who was going to stop the Warriors. And I thought, well, the Raptors beat them in the first game of the preseason, so they are beatable, apparently. So who knows? But we will talk about the NBA in a little bit. Since we always like to talk about the basketball games at the top of the show, just want to do a quick news roundup for the past week. And the good news for Xbox One and PC gamers, the patch 1.03 for NBA 2K17 is now out on both of those platforms. It will come through automatically as long as you are on the internet with your console or PC, through Steam or Xbox Live, obviously. I'm not sure how big the Xbox One patch is. I'm guessing it's around about the same size as the 6 gig or 7 gig of the PS4 patch.
Yes, 7.1 gig. Yeah.
7.1 gig. The PC version is actually only 560 meg, so that's a bit of a lighter download on PC. I did get that this morning, fired up the PC version, checked to make sure that the same fixes were there. Apparently they are by the patch notes. I can confirm, if nothing else, that the substitution issue, where if you made substitutions during a timeout, they weren't taking effect until the next dead ball. Now they are automatically applying, or immediately applying, I should say. So that is definitely fixed. Looks like it is the patch, even though it is much smaller. Everything else, the new courts and everything have come through. So for whatever reason, it is smaller. You can share your impressions in the forum, in the sticky thread there, the patch 1.03 thread. That's where we have all the patch notes and the discussion going on. And I'll continue to update that throughout the life cycle, I guess, the support cycle of 2K17 with all the release dates and everything of those patches. And that's where you can post impressions and bug reports and everything. We've got all those threads, so join in the discussion there. It's good that we didn't have to wait too much longer for the PC version. Ben, I know, having you being involved with PC gaming with Live back in the day, there's always a bit of trepidation, a bit of paranoia, I guess, with our community. We've had times where games have not come out on PC, and is it coming out on PC? And Live, of course, no longer coming out on PC, where people are a bit paranoid about whether the patches come out, so it's always good, especially when they don't really talk about the PC version that much on the social media, that we actually do get the patch that the consoles get.
That's true. Yeah, I agree. Like when we were early days of PC on Live, and it was always a question whether we'd get the post-release support and all that. So, and obviously now 2K really trying to make that push in the PC market and that for the 2K series. Yeah, it's good to see that. That continues support. But still surprised about that patch size compared to what the console version was. But yeah, I wonder if the issues in that were all the same, or something a little bit different in that. Obviously, to make it such a lighter patch compared to. So
it could be the PC patches.
I suppose that'd be good for you.
The PC patches do seem to be a bit lighter on average than the console ones. So. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, it absolutely is the main thing is we are getting them, because that paranoia kind of is there. They're not going to come through, but to their credit, they haven't missed any updates for 2K15 and 16, so I figured it was coming, but it was nice to actually get it. But I do wish they would acknowledge it a little bit more on social media and saying, yes, it is coming for the PC, because quite often it doesn't get mentioned, which doesn't necessarily mean doesn't inspire a lot of goodwill or faith, even though they haven't missed an update yet. But yeah, it definitely would be nice to get those mentions.
So PC Master Race goes from PC Master Race to second class citizen.
It's definitely when it comes to sports gaming. I mean, that is something that I think a lot of PC gamers, PC basketball gamers, forget or don't realize in the first place is that we are actually a niche of a niche community. If you look at the sales numbers, the PC is very much a drop in the bucket of the consoles. Not to say that we don't support the PC and love everything that we can do on the PC, but if you want to make the argument that the PC is the most important platform to the basketball gaming, by the numbers, not so much. But we've got a pretty good community. Obviously, we welcome all the console gamers as well. We're all basketball gamers here, but anyway, in any event, it is nice to see the patch come out for those two versions. Not too long after PS4, but yes, it's sometimes Sony gets it first, sometimes Microsoft gets it first. It's I think once for 2K15 or 16, the PC got it first. So there's no pattern really sometimes. But
it's interesting.
But the important thing is that the patch is out and that it is on all three versions now. Apologies to PS3 and Xbox One, Xbox 360, I should say, users. Obviously, not a lot of support for those versions anymore. I'm amazed that they're still making them actually, but enjoy, I guess, if you're still on those systems. But definitely, the focus is on PC and current gen.
Do you think there'll be a PS3 or Xbox 360 version next year or the year after?
Well, they seem to have lasted a while, and I think 2K11 might have been the last PS2 release, possibly. So maybe a couple more years, but then you see with the new versions, new editions of the PS4 and Xbox One coming out, how long they'll continue to support the previous gen. I don't know. I mean, from what I've heard,
it'd be extra resources and money in that. So obviously, especially with the PS4 Pro and Scorpio and Slim and all that stuff. So yeah.
From what I've heard, the 360 and PS3 versions are just pretty much very basic roster updates. Not much done in the way of graphics updates or features or anything. So I can't imagine if you're on those systems, you're getting a lot of great experience.
No, visually wise, the game had been looking the same and on PS3 and 360 for probably the last 3 or 4 years and that. So I just imagine it'd be just the roster stuff. It's just kind of like with GTA 5, I guess. Like there's only so much only some of the updates and that they do with the modes and stuff, with the new stuff for the online. That'll get updated. So. Because obviously the older consoles can't support it, so
no, it's definitely the priority has changed, and you basically got to keep up to date if you want to have the latest content technology. But speaking of the PC, just a couple of updates on modding developments. Modding community still working things out, making some great tutorials. Check those out in the NBA 2K17 section of the forum. Something they've actually worked out, Ben, is some 3D model editing this week. Saw
cool.
Greg post some previews, or it might have actually been TBM testing it out, where it's got like a huge lump growing out of LeBron's face. It's almost like your face scan, actually. Some of your failed face scans where it was really bulging out the side. But done on purpose, just to show how
sorry, go on.
Just to show how the modeling can actually work. So yeah, that's great to see that the tools have been coming, within the first month of the game being out. Lots of great work being done by the community. New batch of file editions coming soon. I've just been doing it in between the other bulletins, but lots of people uploading stuff for the download section already. So good stuff, everyone. Keep it coming, and look out for the more tutorials and more downloads coming. So it's good news that the modding community is still going strong, even through some of the challenges that are faced on this current generation with the different file formats. It's good to see.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's about it for the news this week. We do have a featured discussion this week, and so it's a shame we don't have the three of us in here, because I'm sure Kenny would have a few thoughts on this as well, although I think he spent more time in this mode than we have, Ben. But this was brought to my attention on Twitter today. This is courtesy of Gold Rush YT on Twitter, and it's a message from 2K support about upgrading my player in 2K17 beyond 95 overall. And basically, by playing my career, you can upgrade your player to a maximum of 95 overall. Once you've reached that high level of gameplay, you need to go to My Park. I'm reading off the the response here. And start leveling up your player's reputation. New upgrades will be unlocked when your player achieves superstar levels 1, 3, and 5. So basically, if you want to max out your player this year, you have to go to My Park. And this is kind of a controversial thing, Ben.
I'll say. And this also makes me think about that team that we played against in Pro-Am where they were like 98s. When they were rated 98 after was it a week and a half of release or something?
Something like that. Probably less than 2 weeks, I would say. Yeah. So to get to 98 overall with that, I mean, to do that legitimately, you would have had to have really played a lot of my career and a lot of My Park, and probably spent money on VC to do it legitimately. So it makes me think even more that that they might have hacked the game, and on PS4 too.
Yeah. So. Interesting. Yeah, because we didn't know about this obviously until just sort of. I didn't know about this till like a few minutes ago. You obviously knew, was it today or yesterday?
Early hours of I guess yesterday morning that it was posted through to me on Twitter, and I saw that. And thought, wow, yeah, that's definitely something that that we should talk about on the podcast, because this is one of my pet peeves with not just basketball games, but video games in general. And I started a thread in the 2K17 section of the forum. I know not everyone listens to the podcast, and I want the discussion to go in. I think it's something worth discussing, and of course, knew we were going to discuss it here. But I mean, here's the thing: My Park is not really for me. I've gone into it a couple of times, but I'm not a big online gamer anyway. 2K Pro-Am obviously got into that with you guys the last few months, and into 2K17 as well. My Park doesn't really appeal to me, but I'm just not a fan. Microtransactions are one thing. I'm not a big fan of those, or the grind. It'd be nice if we could be able to get a loyalty bonus, or returning player bonus, so we don't have to grind as much. I mean, that's a big thing, having to grind every year when we start over from 57 overall or whatever.
55, I think we started.
55 overall, that's right.
5.
So I mean, that's bad enough. And there's problems with all the modes being connected, but there's also convenience there with having not only having to level up one My Player if you wish at one position. So I can as much as I have my quibbles with that, I can sort of get around it. I even dropped some money on VC this year to get the head start on My Player, which I'm glad I did, because there's no way I'd be wanting to play it 60 something overall in my career or Pro-Am right now. But this is really one of my pet peeves, when you have to play a mode that you're not interested in to unlock content that applies game-wide. And there's a couple of examples I'll throw out there, because there's definitely not just 2K. It's just why I'm disappointed to see 2K adopt this concept, this approach. Mortal Kombat X, or XL as the full special edition is called, to unlock certain costumes, you actually have to do certain objectives online. And I'm not a big online gamer. I've tried to play online a couple of times, but I'm not in the fighting game community. I can beat up on the CPU, but I'm not good multiplayer. Well, I'm okay multiplayer with friends, but the people who really do the whole fighting game tournaments and everything, and really know how to play Mortal Kombat online and Street Fighter and all those games, it's not fun going up against them when you're a novice like me at that kind of competition. So to have to do that to unlock costumes, and they're just costumes, but it's still, they're classic costumes and things. It'd be nice to have them to select, but or the free mobile games, another one, having to complete objectives in the free mobile game. Having to do that extra stuff instead of just being able to unlock them with VC or in-game currency. In Mortal Kombat, they've got their coins with a K, of course, because it's Mortal Kombat. But not having to do that extra stuff and play modes I'm not interested in. And the worst one was, I think, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, the WWE game. To unlock one of the legends, Jake the Snake Roberts, you actually had to, if you can believe it, Ben, you had to unlock him in the PSP version and then use the save data to unlock him in the PS2 version.
That's not complicated at all, is it?
No, so basically relied on you having a PSP as well, which I guess some people did, and having the game on both systems, which I guess some people did as well. But for me, I wasn't going to go out and buy a PSP and the PSP version and do that. So I used an action replay to unlock it that way. It's like, no, screw that. You're not going to get the money out of me to do that. So that's one of the worst examples that I think. But stuff like that, where it's just putting it behind a really hard paywall or anything, yeah, I'm not a fan. It's a big pet peeve of mine having to do that, and yeah, I'm disappointed to see it in 2K17.
I'm the same. Like, given that my park is not really a mode where you're technically developing in your actual NBA player career in that sense. Like, yeah, the practice thing makes sense because, you're developing the skills or, putting in the grind aspect, like your training sessions and all that stuff. So it makes sense that, you use that element of a mode to rate up your player and all that stuff, or to rank them up with new attributes and stuff. So, but yeah, in a completely different mode that's more street mode orientated, doesn't really make sense for the whole aspect of my career. So, yeah, not a fan of it. And yeah, given that, yeah, it's the whole microtransaction, but it's also what will happen next year kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we were alluding to just before we started recording. Okay, it's this year it's a 95, whereas it's next year it's a 90. And so yeah, it's not a good thing because where it could potentially go to and all that stuff. And again, how much more VC is it technically forcing you to really pay to play in a sense?
Yeah, so. I mean, the obvious example here for 2K17 is the basic animations, basic dribbling animations, which are now behind a VC paywall. They were free last year. So
yeah, that's terrible.
And we talked about that last week, and I think maybe the week before. And of course, with the nerfed VC rewards, makes it even worse. So the idea that they're going to take something and gradually do it and make these changes is not unprecedented. So, it is 95 overall. It's okay for now. That gives you a player that you can max out pretty well. And of course, this goes vice versa for people who want to play My Park or Pro-Am and not My Career. I guess that also works that way as well. We kind of play both, the Pro-Am and the My Career. But yeah, it's definitely concerning what they could do in the